Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Get Your Play Online. My name is Gracie, and today we will be doing some planet trivia. So, the theme for this week's programming has been space and planets, and today's trivia will go along with that. Just so you know, if you would like to write down your answers, you might want to have a piece of paper and a pencil or a pen. And if not, you can definitely just follow along and guess the answers. So, how I'll be doing it is I will go through all the questions and then I will go back through and go through the answers afterwards. So, that will give you time to think about if you know the answer to the question. And if you want to write them down, that will be helpful if you want to keep score. If you're just interested in knowing the facts, feel free to not write anything down. All right, so let's get started. Okay, so the first question that we have today is, now that Pluto is not a planet anymore, how many planets are there in the solar system? So there used to be one more with Pluto included. Okay, I'll give you a second to think. I'll give you a hint on this question. It is 10 or less, if that helps you at all. Okay, next question is, what planet is closest in size to the Earth? So if you've seen one of those, I don't know, pictures of all the planets together, and you can kind of tell which ones are closer in size to the Earth. If you just know the names, this might be a little trickier. Okay. And I'll give you a hint by giving you the names of a few different options. So it could be Jupiter, Saturn, Venus, or Mercury. So it's one of those four, just to give you a hint. Okay. Next question is, what planet is the closest to the sun? So if you've learned the planet song, it starts with the sun, and then what comes next? All right, everyone written their answers down? All right, let's keep going. Okay, the next question. This is question number 4 if you're trying to keep track of your questions in order. The chemical element uranium was named after which planet? So think about the name uranium and what planet does it most sound like? That is a good hint. Okay. Write your answers down. Great. Next question. This one is a true or false question. True or false? Venus has more atmospheric pressure than Earth. This is a pretty sciencey question, so if you haven't learned this in school yet, you just take a guess. It's true or false, so you've got a 50-50 shot of being right. Okay, this next one. What is the hottest? Okay, so this is question number 6. What is the hottest planet in the solar system? And it might not be what you're thinking. So, some options could be Mercury, Venus, Uranus. I guess not Pluto. Pluto's not a planet anymore. Although I have heard they're reconsidering that, so stay posted on that. All right. Next question is number 7. True or false? Pluto is smaller in diameter than the United States. And if you have learned in math, or maybe you haven't, but diameter is how much we measure across something. So the diameter of the United States would be about, well, if you're not including Hawaii and Alaska, the diameter of most of the United States would be from somewhere on the East Coast, maybe Maryland or somewhere like that, or Maine, and then measure all the way to the West Coast, so all the way over to California or Washington State. So that would be the diameter. So the question was uh, true or false, Pluto is smaller in diameter than the United States. All right. Question number 8. Which planet has the biggest ocean? And the interesting thing with this is that an ocean doesn't necessarily mean an ocean like you are thinking of an ocean. I've never been to space, so I haven't really experienced the oceans on other planets. Okay. Question number 9. Why does Mercury have craters? What do you think? This one's a pretty sciencey question too, so if you haven't learned about space and planets in school, you might not know this one, but it will be interesting to know for the future. Okay. Question number 10. How many planets are made of gas? So if you've learned about planets in school, some planets, planets are made up of different things, and there are some planets that are made up of gas. All right. Put down your guesses, so there'll be 4. So if you need help and you know all the names of the planets, maybe write down all the names of the planets and try to pick out which 4 of those might be made of gas. But if I told you all the names of the planets, I would be giving away an answer, so I can't do that. Okay, question 11. How many planets in the solar system revolve around the sun? So think about all the planets and which ones revolve around the sun. Now, Earth does revolve around the sun, so I can at least let you know that. Okay, question number 12. How many times a year does the Earth revolve around the sun? So I just gave you part of the answer for the previous question, but I already told you that anyway. So how many times a year does the Earth revolve around the sun? Question number 13. Which planet is the biggest planet? Think you know? Question number 14. Which planet is the smallest planet? So 13 was which planet is the biggest, and number 14 was which planet is the smallest. And when I'm giving you the answers, I'll go through the questions again, just in case you missed one. Okay, question number 15. What is the only planet not named after a Greek or Roman god? So if you've learned in school about Greek and Roman mythology, they have, different gods that a lot of things in our world are actually named after, whether you realize it or not. So, anyway, so there is just one planet in our solar system whose name is not from Greek or Roman mythology. And if that is totally confusing to you, don't worry about it. I'll go over the answer later. Okay, question number 16. What are the planets in order, starting with the sun? So if you've learned a planet song, you can sing it and write down all the answers. All right. And for that question, let's say if you want to keep track of points, you can get 3 points for that question if you can get all of them. And if you can only get a couple, then you don't get any points for that one. Sorry. Okay. Number 17. Which planets have rings around them? So I'll give you a hint. Jupiter does have rings around it if you look at it. So there are a few other planets that also have rings around them. So which ones are they? And another hint is that there's 4 of them. So the answer is definitely not all of them. Okay, question number 18. How long does it take to get to Mars? I'll give you a hint. It takes a long time. I'll tell you it is more than 30 days. So it takes more than a month to get to Mars, if that helps you guess. Okay, question 19. So we're only going up to 20 questions, so we are almost there. I'm going through all the questions and then we'll go through the answers. So question 19 is, when did humans first step on the moon, and who was the first person to step onto the moon? So when did humans first step on the moon, and what person was the first person to step foot on the moon? So it was an astronaut, obviously. Okay. Question number 20. Sorry, that one's kind of a hard one. I'll give you a minute to think about the answer. So when did humans first step on the moon? So that's a date. And then who was the first person? So for this question, if you can get both answers, that's a really hard one. So I would say you get 4 points. And then you get 2 points for each answer on that question. Okay, now that you've put in your guesses, question number 20. When was the night sky first viewed by telescope? This was a really long time ago. Definitely before any of us were born. And before our grandparents were born. And before our great-grandparents were born. So, there's a hint for you. Okay, ready? Now, we are going to go over the answers. So for that last question, you can just put a year. And I'll say for that one, you get 2 points if you know the answer, because it's not very easy. All right, so let's go over the answers. So the answer to question 1. So question 1 was, now that Pluto is not a planet anymore, how many planets are there in the solar system? And the answer is 8. So if you're including Pluto, that is 9. All right. Oh, no, wait, it's 10. Just kidding. Let me just double check that answer. Yeah, I don't know why. Okay, I think the answer is 9 for that. Apologies. Okay, question number 2. What planet is the closest in size to Earth? And the answer is Venus. All right. Question number 3 was, what planet is closest to the sun? And the answer for that is Mercury. Question number 4, the chemical element uranium was named after which planet? And the answer is Uranus. So uranium and Uranus. So I was trying to give you a hint before that the answer sounds similar to uranium. So if you picked up on that hint, great job. All right, number 5 was true or false. Venus has more atmospheric pressure than Earth. The answer was true. Or the answer is true. Okay, question number 6. what is the hottest planet in the solar system? And the answer is Venus. And this is despite Mercury actually being closer to the sun. So question 3 was which planet is closest to the sun? And the answer was Mercury. But the hottest planet is actually Venus, which kind of is a tricky thing, isn't it? So the reason that it is so hot is because the atmosphere is really dense and it traps heat, kind of like a greenhouse. So you see a greenhouse um, where they keep plants nice and warm, and you have glass all around and the sun streams in, and it makes it hotter in there than it actually is outside. So it's kind of like that also with Venus. So the atmosphere really traps the heat, and so it makes it hotter even though it is actually further from the sun than Mercury. Okay, question number 7. It was true or false, Pluto is smaller in diameter than the United States? The answer is true. The greatest distance across the United States is from Maine to California, so this is obviously not including Alaska and Hawaii, and that is about 2,900 miles long. Pluto, on the other hand, is actually 1,473 miles across, so it is even smaller than the United States, and it's a whole planet. Okay, so question number 8. Which planet has the biggest ocean? The answer is Jupiter, and that ocean is actually made of metallic hydrogen. I am no scientist here, so if you want to learn more about metallic hydrogen, I would recommend you Google it or ask a parent or caregiver to help you do some research on metallic hydrogen. Okay, question number 9. Why does Mercury have craters? The answer is it has a thin atmosphere that can't burn up meteors. So, there you go. Question number 10. How many planets are made of gas? And the answer is, the answer is 4. And then if you knew which planets, you can get a bonus point, so you get 2 points for that. The planets are Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. Okay, question number 11. How many planets in the solar system revolve around the sun? So I don't know how you did with this question, but it's almost a trick question. The answer is all of them. They all revolve around the sun. How many times a year does the Earth revolve around the sun? Oh, sorry. This is question number 12 now. How many times a year does the Earth revolve around the sun? And the answer is once a year. So there are 365 days in a year, and the Earth revolves around the sun once every 365.25 days. So it's basically 365 days and then a quarter of another day. So that's also kind of why we have our calendar year, because the Earth moves around the sun once every what we have decided is our year. And so that means, when we see our seasons, we've got winter, spring, summer, and fall. We experience each of those one time a year because that's because the Earth moves around, the Earth moves around the sun once every year. Okay, question number 13. Which planet is the biggest planet? The answer to that is actually Jupiter. Jupiter is the biggest planet. Okay, question number 14. Which planet is the smallest planet? So we've got the biggest planet is Jupiter. The smallest planet is, any guesses? Any guesses? Smallest planet is Mercury. Okay, question number 15. What is the only planet not named after Greek or Roman gods? The answer is Earth. So the other planets, so Jupiter, where are my list of planets? Okay, so Mercury, Venus, uh, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto are all named after Greek and Roman gods. Okay, question number 17. Oh, sorry, nope. Question number 16. What are the planets in order, starting with the sun? So the sun is actually a star, not a planet. I think I maybe misspoke earlier. So the actual planets in order, it starts with the sun, kind of just for reference. And then it's Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and then if we're counting Pluto, but I think currently Pluto doesn't count. All right, number 17. Which planets have rings around them? And I'll give you a hint. Well, this is kind of giving away the answer. So the answer is Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. And they are actually all the gas planets. So the gases kind of create those rings. Sorry. Need some water. All right, so number 18. Sorry. How long does it take to get to Mars? The answer is 150 to 300 days. And that can vary because factors like technology and the position of the planet can change how quickly we could get there. Okay, number 19. When did humans first step on the moon, and who was the first person to step onto the moon? So the first person was an astronaut, but who is that astronaut? So the answer for when is July 20th, 1969. That was a really big deal, and people watched on TV as the astronauts stepped on the moon. And the first person to step onto the moon was an astronaut that you've probably heard of called Neil Armstrong. And it was just such a big deal at the time. And I think, especially they watched it in schools on the TV. And I think it just made a lot of people feel like, wow, we are doing really amazing things. And the world is, the world is only Earth, I guess. But the universe is just so big and amazing. And how cool that we have people who have left Earth and gone to the moon. At the time, it was something that people just almost couldn't even imagine. Okay, question number 20. This is the last one. When was the night sky first viewed by telescope? And the answer for this, I tried to give you a little hint that it was a very long time ago. The answer is 1610. And it was Galileo who first viewed the night sky by telescope. And Galileo was an Italian astronomer, and an astronomer is somebody who studies space, and he was also a physicist and an engineer, so he was super smart. He did a lot of different things, but yeah, he first viewed the night sky by telescope. And it's crazy to imagine that because we can go on the internet and find tons of pictures of what the night sky looks like and all our planets and everything. But at that point, people had never really seen that before. So it was just such a big deal when Galileo was able to see the night sky by telescope. And now it's crazy to think we've had people, go to space. So not just see space from Earth, but actually go there. So it's amazing how much has happened and how much we've achieved over time. All right, thank you so much for joining me. I had a lot of fun going through all this planet trivia with you. If you want to learn more about the planets, I'm certainly not the planet expert here,